Hey, welcome back to the channel. And it's been a while since I record because lots of things happening with my course, with work, etc. But now I want to start a series of interviews with my former students and just ask them about how and why they decided to get into design in the course, what was their takeaways about the course, etc. And to kickstart this series, I have Olivia Jones. She was one of my students in the 16-week program of product design course. And I have all the links about Olivia, her LinkedIn, her portfolio, etc. down in the description. Go follow her. She's an amazing graphic designer transitioning now to product, to UX and UI. And I hope you guys enjoy. And if you like that, please give the thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel because I'll have more students join this interview series. Okay. Now go watch what Olivia has to say. See ya. So thanks, Olivia, for being here with me. It's been a while since we last saw each other in our course. So to start, let's give just a quick introduction about yourself, what you have been doing so far, what's your current work, and what you've been doing since the course.
Yeah. So I'm a graphic designer. I've been designing for about 9 or 10 years now. And I currently work in healthcare marketing at an in-house position, but we as a company really wanted to take a mobile-first approach. And so that required several of the designers on our team to sort of switch gears from Adobe into Figma, and not just learning the tools, but actually understanding, how apps and websites flow, how to create working mock-ups. And so we decided, me and my supervisor both decided to take the same course last year, and you were my teacher. And I use Figma every day now. Even when I'm not designing apps and websites, I've actually noticed several of my freelance clients have fully switched to Figma just to save on the cost of Adobe, but also just because it's so interactive and it's like instant access to a distributed team, and you always have the most up-to-date file. There's no more sending bulky design files back and forth. I sound like an ad.
Yeah, it is true. Figma, the way they are doing, it literally disrupted the industry, and no one talks about Sketch in Photoshop for digital design anymore.
Or XD, although a few people on my team still use XD as non-designers. They use it for templates, and I don't think Adobe is even supporting that anymore.
No, they discontinued XD.
Yeah, which is sad, but I see why, because Figma is obviously so much better. I am kind of glad that Adobe was not able to acquire it.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, I don't want to get blacklisted. I love Adobe. I still use their products every day, but I just think it's really good for the marketplace to have.
Yeah, I have the same opinion. I love Adobe. Adobe gave me so much throughout my career.
Yeah,
using Photoshop since Photoshop 3.5, I think. But I don't know. They have a background, a history of putting too much that is not necessary into their tools. So
and I wonder if it's because they're framing themselves as an all-in-one platform, or if it's to make it intentionally less intuitive to use, so that I'm not sure what the goal is behind that, but
yeah, I was one of the few designers that since day one they announced that they're buying Figma. I was like hoping to not make it through. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was kind of like very skeptical of they're going to destroy Figma, and hopefully it was not approved.
Or just they'll probably put it behind a paywall, and it will be incredibly, like, there will be a much higher barrier to entry. And that's what I love about Figma, is that it's like, it's free, it's accessible to use for right now. And I'm actually going to Config for the first time this year in June. So that'll be really, because it's pretty close to where I'm at.
Yeah. So you be my fourth student to attend Config. Nice.
Very cool. Maybe I'll bump into them.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you and your manager also took the course. So what was the decision around taking the course with Dribble, and what was like the necessity with work related, with demands, that kind of thing, to like wanted to improve yourself after that?
Well, the company had just gone through a massive overhaul with their website, and my boss was learning Figma as that was happening. And we very quickly realized that in order to maintain this, we needed more than one person to understand Figma and to be able to, create mock-ups quickly, to create like working prototypes, to understand even just the basics of like spacing and how the web is built, boxes within boxes, which is a very different approach than if you are coming from a print design background. Especially when you start using like Flexbox. It's just a totally different world. Things don't stay static where you put them. So you have to think systematically. And he took that course and just learned so much from it that he was like, I highly recommend taking this one. And yeah, so that was essentially the goal, was to maintain our website, and also just try to push some of the teams towards a more digital first approach, especially because when you're going to trade shows and you're passing out marketing materials, what if you don't print enough? What if you are using, print materials from a year ago that are now outdated? Like, it's so much easier to do marketing if you are sending people to a landing page or a website, and we can get that data of like who's interested. We can update the page from the back end live if we need to. It's also more eco-friendly. It doesn't waste as much paper. So,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes people are a little shocked to hear that we still use print marketing, but a lot of the salespeople have been doing this job for 30 years, and QR codes are still a brand new, scary thing to them. So it's very interesting to be on the cusp where there's one generation that is like gung-ho with AI and ChatGPT and Vision Pro, all of that. But then there's this other generation that is still doing things the same way in print as they have been for decades. So we're right in between and trying to make it work with all the levels of technological interest.
Awesome. It's a completely different perspective of why you took the course, because you already have the design background. Because lots of, especially the previous cohorts in yours, people were looking for the course to understand how to design, how to work. I had students of like above 60 years old. I had two of like 18, like just fresh out of high school, and people are just like transitioning careers, etc. So you bring this different perspective of why taking the course. Great. And what about the content? There's you were looking for more around the tool, because the course was heavily on Figma, or was just like something that you were expecting to to learn and you didn't, or anything you wanted to have with the course, and the course achieve your expectations?
I would say the course did not meet my expectations. It exceeded them, because I was really I had taken several UX UI courses before that through a different company, and it was all just sending me links to articles for me to read on my own. And then they would give me like a multiple choice test that I could guess on to prove that I had learned something. So it was not interactive at all. And that's kind of what I was expecting more of. But when I got into this Dribble course, it was so interactive. There were videos. I liked that I could watch them at my own pace. And they had weekly homework deadlines to keep me accountable and make sure that I'm taking the course at a reasonable pace. Because I don't know about you, but I really struggle with sort of like doing too much all at once and then getting burned out, and then sort of letting it fizzle out and not staying consistent. Yeah. So it was great that I had weekly meetups with real people on video. It's also just great for anybody who is distant or works from home and, you know, wants to socialize a little bit while they learn. Yeah, so I would say I also really appreciated the assignments, because you can read all of the articles and watch all the tutorials you want, but you are just not going to learn until you get in there and fiddle with Figma yourself, you know, and make mistakes and break things. And I also like that there was no shame around watching how somebody else solved a problem and then sort of copying it or reverse engineering it, because, you know, we're not taking credit for other people's work. None of this is going in our portfolios. This is just strictly a practice to, you know, to test things and see what works and learn from others. So I like that it was very open and everybody like shared their findings with their weekly homework.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. If you just have like theory and just the videos without practicing, it's hard. I always say that to anyone I'm helping, either as a teacher or a mentor or just as a friend, saying that you have to practice.
Yeah.
Like it don't matter if you are just like redoing what's already been done, not necessarily like redesigning, but just copying that structure, copying that visual, that layout, because you are always learning by practicing. But like you mentioned, without a layout, you don't get it at the first time. Never. You have to create the outer layout, break a lot your structure to understand how outer layout is properly done.
Yeah, and even if you do it right the first time, you're like, wait, what did I do? How did I do that? And you can't necessarily recreate it. So I actually think you learn more from breaking things and then putting it back together. Yeah,
that's it. And for you, what was the importance of learning the concepts, the part, the research part, the theoretical part, in opposite with the tool? Because we covered some aspects of the Figma on how to create the styles, how to create components, auto layout, prototyping, but we also covered some parts of design principles, design as discipline. How was for you this ratio?
I think that it was a good ratio because you can always use a refresher. And I think having that foundation of the principles of art and design helps you apply it to the new format of thinking systematically in an app. So I think that coming from a print design background, my default was to make everything from scratch or to like copy paste components. And it took me a while to change my mindset to understand the value of using components so that you don't have to go back and manually change everything. If, like, for example, if the company decides to rebrand from blue to red, if you have it set up as components, you can make that change once and it's applied globally across the board. But you have to build the system correctly from scratch in order for that to work. And yeah, it was hard to break that habit, I think, of making everything from scratch, because it's, I don't know, there was something kind of scary about having it all connected, because then I was like, oh, what if the main component breaks? And I don't know why it was so difficult to change my mindset with that. But yeah, I think the art and design side of it is great for anybody who, didn't go to art school or is, like you said, a brand new student, because UI and UX are so closely linked. And I actually struggled more with the UX mapping side of it. And I think that can kind of be a weakness, because if you have strong design skills, you can take shoddy work that isn't very well thought out and make it look great at a glance. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it works correctly. Yeah. And I really wanted to improve on, my ability to make a working, functioning app that you can navigate through smoothly, which is totally different than making a beautiful product.
Yeah. And special for people in your position that are coming from graphic, for sure, the UX part, to understanding the digital environment, how everything works. If it's like a mobile that you tap and you have the safe area, that you have like a minimum size, because it depends on the fingertip size of each person, or the screen size of the phones or tablets. Coming from print where you don't have those issues, for sure the experience is more the biggest change in our brains, right?
Yeah. And it's so interesting because if you are not in design mode and say you just downloaded an app onto your tablet and it wasn't designed for a tablet and the buttons were huge, you would immediately look at that and go, who designed it this way? Why is it like that? But when you're not in the user headspace and you're in the designer headspace, it's really hard to break out of the little box that you're currently working in. I don't know how to describe it. I would probably compare it to being writing a story versus reading a story. Because as the writer, you know exactly what's going to happen. But if you don't put enough clues on the page, then the reader could be totally confused and lost. So it's having that empathy for the user and really putting yourself in their shoes to make sure that your designs are actually functional and work in practice, not just in theory or not just in your mock-ups.
Yeah, for sure. And how was the mentor sessions? Because we had 2 hours a week throughout. Your course was a 16 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had lots of mentor sessions, even office hours. What the value you took from those sessions?
I think the mentor sessions were probably my favorite part, because we got to showcase what we had been working on all week, ask questions if we were stuck on anything, which happened a lot. And I also really enjoyed hearing about your personal experience with real life clients and seeing how you applied our learnings to actual projects, and getting to kind of see the back end of a lot of those Figma files. So it was because you can take example projects like school assignments, but sometimes they're not always applicable because it's too, how do I say that? It's like too convenient. It's too easy. Whereas as soon as you step out into a real design project, there's going to be parameters, crazy deadlines, too many stakeholders, like changing brand guidelines. Like there's all of these other factors that school projects sometimes don't take into account. So it was nice to get, the benefit of your actual experience as a product designer.
Cool. Glad you mentioned that. So for you, how was my interaction with everyone in the class? And like, I don't know, you have any feedback from me? Because I never asked that from anyone after the course. So I'm kind of interested in to know how was my way of sharing my knowledge, not only about the course content, but also from my real life experience, like you mentioned.
It was great. I think that you made everyone feel very comfortable. You're very relaxed when you present, and you bring a sense of humor to your presentations, which is very nice and refreshing. So it doesn't feel like a robot reading off slides, which sometimes if you watch free tutorials online, that's what you'll find. So it was very engaging. I felt like you opened it up for everyone to share and present if they felt comfortable without putting any one person on the spot. And I like that you were open to sharing some examples from your real freelance clients.
My editor version here. So if you're liking what Olivia is talking about, the course, the way I teach, my mentorship skills, etc., please go to uicourse.design, links in the description, because I'm doing something crazy. All the modules are now with 66% off. So we can grab for those prices here. I'm not sure for how long. So again, uicourse.design, links in the description. See you there. Grab a spot. Nice. That because I think that helps to have the real life perspective, not just with the course exercises. Because the course exercises, because everyone is doing the same thing. You can compare yourself with them and have just that as an example. But when you see something that are using that technique in real life, that's how you really understand what we are doing. What is the design role within an organization, or as a freelancer working with directly with clients or within a team. Because we did did experience that as teams with breakout rooms and the Fig Jam sessions to understand the user flows on the early weeks of the course. And what was the most important thing that you've learned, and what was the least important thing you learned with the course?
I think that the most important thing I learned was to experiment and don't get married to one idea too early on. Just because it's an iterative process, right? Yeah. So your first 1, 2, maybe even 5 ideas might not be the correct answer. And I think that real life clients don't like that necessarily. They think that there is one solution and they want it fast. And sometimes they think they know what the solution is. So they'll come to you and say, hey, I want a postcard. And you'll be like, well, is a postcard the right solution for this project? Or, maybe think outside the box. Maybe it would make more sense to send them to a landing page where they can RSVP for this event. Like getting them to question why they need it in a particular format, and getting them to see the benefits of, using a more digital approach. So there is some amount of client education and also sales to design, where like, yes, you can just deliver exactly what the client asks for, but ultimately, I think our goal is to solve the problem in the best way possible. And, being able to think outside the box and experiment and push beyond the bounds of the brief can help you do that and sometimes exceed your client's expectations.
Cool. And the least important thing?
The least important thing. That's a hard one. I would say, like, what's the least important thing I learned from the course?
Yeah, the probably like the thing you learned, but you use the least, or it's not like necessarily applied to your day-to-day work.
That's a tough one. Because like I got so much from the course. I would say, I think that what I learned was that I focused too much on the aesthetics first rather than the functionality. And the function of an app should always come before form, at least in the case of UX. It's probably different if you're an illustrator, for example. But yeah, so I would learn that I was focusing on the less important things.
Amazing. It's nice. And probably my last question. What would be the tip to give someone who's looking to jump in the design and looking out for courses and like, I don't know, maybe they're switching gears from a different career outside design, within the design area? What would be like your tip for that person?
I would say find other designers who are currently doing that job and ask them questions, interview them if you can, maybe shadow them for a day if they'll let you. I don't know how that would work unless they came over your house and like watched you design, but just get as much information from people who are actually doing the job day in, day out. And also look for courses that are extremely interactive, that have, you can go at your own pace. They have videos, they have articles, but also they have video calls with other students. Because I think that the social aspect is so important for keeping you interested, but also for making connections with other designers and learning from them. Because there were so many students that came from a variety of different backgrounds in the course. There were people who were coders that wanted to move into design. There were people coming from management who had never designed anything in their life. There were other graphic designers, So yeah, I'd say community should be a priority for you. And also it'll just help you learn before you make any major decisions. Like, you don't want to take out a huge student loan or like quit your job and start designing right out the gate and then realize that it's not for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, test and practice as much as you can to really see if this is what brings you joy.
Awesome. That's a very great tip. Cool. Anything else you want to share? You want to talk about?
I think I'm all good. I'm thinking about redesigning my website for the umpteenth time. So if you have any recommendations for platforms to use, right now I'm using Squarespace, but I'm really, really seriously thinking about switching to Webflow.
Yeah, Webflow and Framer are definitely my go-to tools around like creating websites, because Squarespace is great. If you're creating like an e-commerce, Shopify is amazing. There's the Simplist, Carbon Made, lots of those no code platforms like WordPress and all. But the problem with that is that you're too tight with their templates.
Yeah.
Unless you have a very good knowledge about development, you can customize those templates. Usually you have to use that template and change like just colors and fonts and etc. If you go to Webflow or Framer and you have the design background, you can pretty much design the whole page the way you like it and publish. And it's live. It's amazing. I use Framer a lot. I'm trying to get started with Webflow. I see some clients that are requesting Webflow because they're using Webflow before. Lots of projects asking for Framer as well. My whole platform of my course, I designed on Framer. Everything is on Framer with some integrations here and there, but it's like you can do on your own. For sure, go if you intend to go to Webflow, go with Webflow.
Okay, well, I'll try out both of those.
Yeah, you won't regret it.
Yeah, I also have a request for a YouTube video if you're ever interested in making it. Sure. I think that as a mid-level to senior designer, one thing I've noticed a lot is that you start to get pulled in a million different directions where, you have dabbled in a little bit of everything, but now you want to niche down. And my question is, how on earth do you decide on your niche? Like, because you can go into so many different things. You can go into illustration, UX, you could go into, website design, brand design. And I kind of feel torn because, especially between motion design, branding, and UX. And I just simply do not have time to be all of those things.
Yeah. Great. It's a great topic for sure. I can think about creating a video about that.
I'd love to hear how you decided to niche down, or if you went the opposite way and kind of became a jack of all trades, because I think that's another option.
No, I was a generalist before, and then I'm focusing in UX UI for product for sure. I can totally create a video about that. Thanks. Amazing idea. Well, great talking to you again. Thank you so much for being party. Like to start this series here on my channel, where I'm going to interview a couple more of my OG students to understand how they get from the course, how they are now after the course. So thank you so much. And all your contact, your portfolio, I'll be listening to this episode as well. So again, thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. So that's the first interview with Olivia. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be connecting with more students to talk about how they improved and what was the feedback about the courses. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe, because this helps a lot in the channel. And I see you in the next episode.